Picture this. You walk into a car dealership and the salesperson starts rattling off all these amazing high-tech features. Automatic everything, smart this, intelligent that. They make it sound like you're buying a spaceship that'll practically drive itself while saving the planet and your wallet. But here's the brutal truth nobody wants to tell you. Most of these so-called upgrades are actually financial disasters waiting to happen. I've been working on cars for over 2 decades, and I've watched this industry transform from building reliable machines into creating rolling computers with more failure points than a house of cards in a hurricane. Today, I'm going to expose 13 features that car manufacturers market as revolutionary advances, but in reality, they're engineered to empty your bank account faster than a teenager with their first credit card. We're not talking about minor inconveniences here. These features can cost you thousands in repairs, leave you stranded in dangerous situations, and in some cases, they might even put your life at risk. The worst part? That fancy feature that's supposed to save you money could end up costing you $1,000 for every dollar it claims to save. Let's start with something that sounds environmentally friendly, but is actually an environmental disaster for your wallet. Automatic start-stop systems have been marketed as the solution to reduce emissions and save fuel. Car manufacturers love to brag about how this technology helps the planet while putting money back in your pocket. The reality is completely different. Every time your car stops at a red light, this system shuts off the engine. When the light turns green, it fires back up. Sounds simple enough, right? Wrong. This constant cycling puts enormous stress on 2 critical components, your battery and starter motor. Think about it logically. Your starter was designed to start your car maybe 10 to 15 times per day. With stop-start technology, that number can easily jump to over 100 starts in heavy traffic. To compensate for this abuse, manufacturers install special deep-cycle batteries that cost double what a regular battery costs. Some vehicles even require 2 batteries to handle the load. When these fail, and they will fail much sooner than traditional batteries, you're looking at replacement costs that can easily exceed $400. And that's just the beginning. The starter motor also takes a beating from this constant use. These heavy-duty starters are significantly more expensive to replace than standard ones. We're talking about repair bills that can reach $1,500 or more. But the hidden costs don't stop there. All this stopping and starting creates thermal stress in your engine. The constant temperature fluctuations cause metal components to expand and contract repeatedly, which accelerates wear. Your oil breaks down faster under these conditions, meaning you absolutely cannot extend your oil change intervals, even with the best synthetic oil available. Miss an oil change by even a few hundred miles, and you could be looking at catastrophic engine damage. Engine rebuilds start at around $5,000 and can easily double depending on your vehicle. All of this expense and potential failure to save what? Maybe $25 per year in fuel costs if you're lucky. The safety implications are equally concerning. I've heard countless stories from drivers who got rear-ended while waiting for their engine to restart at a green light. That split-second delay can be the difference between avoiding an accident and becoming someone's insurance claim. Here's my advice. Disable this feature every single time you get in your car. Most vehicles have a button that lets you turn it off, though you'll need to do it manually each time you start the vehicle. Trust me, that $25 in annual fuel savings isn't worth the thousands you'll spend on repairs and the safety risks you're taking. Moving on to another feature that's supposed to make life easier, but often makes it more expensive: automatic parking assistance. Recent surveys show that this is actually the least trusted driver assistance feature among car owners, and for good reason. When everything works perfectly, and you have plenty of space with clear markings, this system can indeed park your car. But here's the problem. Nobody needs help parking in perfect conditions. It's like having an umbrella that only works when it's sunny outside. The real issues arise when conditions aren't ideal, which is basically all the time in the real world. The system relies on sensors and cameras to judge distances and detect obstacles. These sensors frequently misjudge distances, especially when dealing with shadows, moving objects like pedestrians or unclear road markings. Parallel parking becomes a gamble with your insurance premiums. The system might work fine 9 times out of 10, but that 10th time when it scrapes against another car or clips a bumper is going to cost you dearly. Even minor parking lot incidents can result in insurance claims that affect your rates for years. Bay parking is even worse because the system struggles with angled spaces and vehicles that aren't perfectly positioned. If you're not keeping your foot firmly on the brake pedal, you could easily bump into adjacent cars or, worse yet, hit pedestrians walking between vehicles. The technology also takes an infuriatingly long time to complete the parking process. In busy areas, this causes traffic to back up behind you, creating road rage situations and putting additional pressure on you to hurry a system that's already unreliable. From a financial perspective, investing time in actually learning to park properly would save you far more money than relying on this temperamental technology. Parking is a fundamental driving skill that every driver should master, rather than outsourcing to a system that fails when you need it most. Now let's talk about a feature that's supposed to prevent accidents but often causes them instead: lane keeping assist. This system has been praised as a potential lifesaver, with some studies claiming it can reduce crashes by up to 11%. But the reality is more complicated and potentially dangerous. Lane keeping assist isn't just one component, it's a complex network of interconnected sensors and actuators working together. You've got forward-facing cameras, radar sensors, steering angle sensors, electric power steering motors, and multiple control modules, all communicating with each other. When any single component in this chain fails, the entire system becomes unreliable, and failure is practically inevitable given the complexity. The system's biggest vulnerability is that camera mounted behind your windshield. Even the smallest amount of dirt, dust, or bug debris can compromise its ability to see lane markings clearly. Sun glare can temporarily blind the system, and in bad weather conditions like rain, fog, or snow, it becomes completely useless. Here's something that'll really shock you. If your windshield gets cracked and needs replacement, you can't just install any windshield. You need a specially calibrated one that can cost up to $1,000, including the required recalibration procedures. Compare that to a standard windshield replacement that might cost $300, and you can see how quickly these advanced features add up. The system also struggles with real-world obstacles that don't fit its programmed parameters. Potholes can confuse the sensors, shadows from bridges or trees can cause false readings, and cyclists or motorcycles might not be detected properly. On winding or narrow roads, the system can actually steer you toward oncoming traffic, creating the exact type of accident it was designed to prevent. I've seen too many drivers become overly dependent on these systems, treating them as foolproof safety nets rather than fallible assistance tools. This creates a dangerous complacency that can lead to devastating accidents when the system inevitably fails at a critical moment. Let's move on to adaptive cruise control, a feature that car manufacturers have been trying to perfect for 30 years with limited success. While it's certainly an improvement over traditional cruise control, it's still far from the reliable system they advertise it to be. The fundamental problem with adaptive cruise control is that it has too many vulnerabilities and failure points. Just like lane keeping assist, it depends on sensors and cameras that are easily compromised. The front-facing radar unit is typically located behind the vehicle's emblem, which happens to be a favorite nesting spot for insects and debris. The system also uses a windshield-mounted camera that's susceptible to all the same problems we discussed with lane keeping assist: dirt, bug splatter, sun glare, and weather conditions. Even mild fog can render this expensive system completely useless, leaving you without any cruise control functionality at all. From a cost perspective, these radar units are incredibly expensive to replace. A minor parking lot bump that used to result in a $300 repair bill can now cost up to $3,000 if it damages the radar sensors. This is especially problematic if you try to use adaptive cruise control in city driving, where the system frequently gets confused by parked cars, motorcycles, and vehicles changing lanes. The irony is that while manufacturers tout the fuel-saving benefits of adaptive cruise control, claiming up to 14% better fuel economy on highways, there are much simpler and more reliable ways to achieve similar results without the expensive repair risks and safety concerns. Blind spot monitoring sounds like a great safety feature in theory, but its implementation is fraught with problems that can actually make driving more dangerous. Even under perfect conditions, the system struggles to detect smaller vehicles like motorcycles and bicycles, which are precisely the types of vehicles that are most vulnerable in blind spot accidents. The sensors are located in the rear bumper corners, making them vulnerable to damage from even minor impacts or contamination from road debris. When there's mud, heavy rain, or road salt covering these sensors, the system becomes unreliable, potentially giving you false warnings or, worse yet, failing to warn you when there actually is a vehicle in your blind spot. What makes this particularly dangerous is that drivers often become overly reliant on these systems, checking their mirrors less frequently and trusting the electronic warning more than their own visual confirmation. When the system fails, which it inevitably does, this over-reliance can lead to serious accidents. The repair costs are substantial too. A broken sensor can cost up to $3,000 to replace, and even recalibration after minor bumper damage can run around $500. For a system that's supposed to enhance safety, it sure creates a lot of financial liability. Here's a feature that might seem minor, but causes major headaches: tire pressure monitoring systems and their reset reminders. While the basic concept of monitoring tire pressure is sound, the implementation creates more problems than it solves. When the tire pressure warning light comes on, it actually indicates that you're 3 times more likely to have an accident. But here's the problem. Because this light is constantly illuminated in most vehicles, it's lost its protective value. Drivers become desensitized to it, treating it as just another dashboard decoration rather than an important safety warning. The system uses sensors inside each tire, including your spare tire. Even when your spare isn't being driven, it naturally loses about 1 pound of pressure every few months. Since most drivers never check their spare tire until they have a flat, the warning light can stay on permanently, defeating the entire purpose of the system. Every time you rotate your tires, you need to recalibrate the sensors, which costs money. When the sensor batteries die, which they inevitably do, you're looking at up to $200 per sensor to replace them. Over the life of your vehicle, you could easily spend $1,000 or more maintaining a system that provides less safety benefit than a $10 digital tire pressure gauge and monthly manual checks. Now let's discuss a feature that's essentially an open invitation to car thieves: keyless entry with automatic unlocking. After years of declining car theft rates, this crime started spiraling upward about a decade ago, and features like this are largely to blame. As you approach your vehicle, the keyless entry system automatically unlocks it. It also locks it as you walk away. While this might be convenient if you live in a remote area with zero crime, for 99% of drivers, this technology is a criminal's dream come true. These systems continuously transmit radio frequency signals between the key fob and the vehicle. Thieves can intercept these signals using relatively inexpensive relay attack devices that retail for as little as $1,000. With this equipment, criminals can break into and steal your car in less than 30 seconds. Even thieves who can't afford sophisticated relay equipment can still exploit these systems. The automatic locking feature typically has a delay of 30 to 150 seconds depending on your vehicle. That's more than enough time for someone to slip into your car, grab valuables from the glove compartment or console, and disappear before you realize what happened. The convenience factor is completely outweighed by the security risks, especially considering that manually unlocking your car with a key fob takes approximately 2 seconds and provides much better security. Automatic high beams represent another solution in search of a problem. Only 15% of headlights meet the visibility standards set by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Instead of addressing this fundamental lighting problem, manufacturers decided to create a system that automatically switches between high and low beams based on detected. Supposed to simplify your life by maintaining your preferred temperature automatically. The reality is that these systems require numerous sensors, actuators, and electronic modules to function, creating multiple failure points that can leave you uncomfortable and broke. When just one sensor fails, the entire system often becomes inoperative. The blend door actuator is usually the first component to fail. In older vehicles with simpler systems, this might be a free 5-minute fix. In modern vehicles with complex automatic climate control, you could spend up to $800 on repairs and recalibration. When the temperature sensors fail, you're looking at another $1,000 to $1,500 in repairs. Over the vehicle's lifetime, you could spend more on climate control repairs than you would replacing a dozen simple manual climate control units. The systems are also frustratingly slow to respond. Your fingers can go numb in winter while waiting for the automatic system to gradually reach your desired temperature when a manual system would provide immediate heat. The multiple modes, buttons, and settings often make these systems more confusing than convenient. Complex infotainment and instrument clusters represent the triumph of marketing over engineering. In the past 3 years, nearly every major manufacturer has issued recalls related to problems with these systems, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Modern infotainment systems control far more than navigation and music. They often house climate control, vehicle settings, radio functions, and numerous other systems. This means when your radio has a problem, you might need to fix the entire infotainment system. Air conditioning not working? Same system. Apple CarPlay malfunctioning? You get the picture. These integrated systems always break down, but most failures don't make headlines because they occur while vehicles are still under warranty. However, once that warranty expires, spending $1,000 annually on these systems will become routine. Critical failures requiring complete system replacement can cost an eye-watering $7,000. The instrument cluster presents even greater safety concerns. Multiple manufacturers have recalled millions of vehicles because instrument clusters can go completely blank while driving. Some recalls were issued because clusters displayed incorrect speed readings. Imagine getting a speeding ticket, or worse, causing an accident because your speedometer was lying to you. Eco mode might be the most deceptively named feature in automotive history. It's supposed to magically reduce fuel consumption and emissions, but the only thing it reliably activates is catastrophic engine damage. The system works by reducing throttle response, limiting air conditioning power, and forcing earlier gear shifts in automatic transmissions. Consumer Reports conducted extensive testing and found that Eco Mode provided no measurable fuel savings in real-world driving conditions. By reducing throttle response, the system forces drivers to press the accelerator pedal harder to achieve desired speeds. This creates a situation where the engine operates in high gear at low RPM while under heavy load, a condition called engine lugging that's extremely damaging to internal components. Lugging strains main bearings, rod bearings, and piston components while causing carbon buildup and detonation. In turbocharged engines, it can cause dangerously low oil pressure. This combination of factors can destroy an engine in a matter of months, resulting in repair costs between $4,000 and $8,000. The forced early gear shifts cause excessive clutch wear in manual transmissions and torque converter stress in automatics. Transmission repairs can easily add another $7,000 to your repair bill. If your vehicle has a continuously variable transmission, Eco Mode can completely destroy it. Add the miserable driving experience and reduced cabin comfort, and Eco Mode becomes a feature with no redeeming qualities except that it's optional. Finally, we reach the ultimate automotive disaster: over-the-air software updates. Over 13 million vehicles were recalled in 2024 for software issues, at an average cost of $500 per recall. Over-the-air updates can theoretically reduce this cost to about $67 per vehicle for manufacturers, but car owners pay the real price. While these updates work reasonably well in Tesla vehicles, they're problematic in most other brands. Updates frequently fail to install properly, and drivers often don't realize there's a problem until a critical system fails. In 2025, Ford recalled 1 million vehicles to fix rear-view camera issues. Some drivers who attempted over-the-air updates reported that the update process froze and completely disabled their vehicles, requiring expensive towing to dealerships. General Motors recalled millions of cars to fix airbag problems, and this highlights the most dangerous aspect of over-the-air updates. Both the manufacturer and the vehicle owner might believe an update fixed a safety system until an accident reveals that the problem still exists. Multiple manufacturers have attempted to fix safety systems and engine problems with over-the-air updates that simply didn't work, essentially using customers as unwitting test subjects for unproven software. To save money on recalls, manufacturers are putting lives at risk. If you have the option, always decline over-the-air updates and take your vehicle to a dealership instead. Yes, it takes more time and costs more money up front, but it significantly reduces your chances of experiencing a catastrophic system failure when you need these systems most. So there you have it. 13 features that sound revolutionary in marketing materials, but will systematically drain your bank account in the real world. The automotive industry has shifted from building reliable transportation to creating rolling computers with more failure points than a smartphone dropped by a toddler. If you're currently using any of these features, you can still minimize some of the damage, but you need to take action immediately. Start by disabling every optional system you can turn off. Learn to drive without relying on electronic assistance. Maintain your vehicle more carefully and more frequently than the manufacturer recommends. Most importantly, when shopping for your next vehicle, remember that simpler is almost always better when it comes to long-term reliability and affordability. That base model with fewer electronic features might not impress your neighbors, but it'll keep more money in your pocket and get you where you need to go without drama. The next time a salesperson starts enthusiastically describing all the amazing technological features in a vehicle, ask yourself whether you really need a car that's smarter than most smartphones, or if you'd prefer reliable transportation that won't require a computer science degree to maintain. Your wallet will thank you for choosing reliability over flashy technology, and you'll spend less time at the dealership and more time actually driving. Sometimes the old ways really are the best ways, especially when the new ways involve so many expensive failure points disguised as convenience features.